When did Slavs come to the Balkans? If you're curious about the history of the Balkans and how the Slavs fit into it, you're in the right place. Let's take a journey back in time to understand when and how the Slavs arrived in this region. The Slavic migrations to the Balkans began in the early 6th century. This period is marked by significant events that paved the way for the Slavs to settle in Southeastern Europe. One key factor was the substantial decrease in the population of Southeastern Europe due to the plague of Justinian and the late Antique Little Ice Age, which made the region more vulnerable to new settlers. During the reign of Eastern Roman Emperor Justin I, from 518 to 527, the first certain Slavic raids into Roman territory were recorded. These early Slavs were divided into two main groups, the Antae and the Sclavini. Procopius, a historian of the time, wrote about large armies of the Antae and Sclavini crossing the Danube River into Roman territory. The mid-6th century saw the arrival of the Pannonian Avars, who conducted incursions into Roman territory and influenced the Slavs' movements. After the failed siege of Constantinople in 626, the Slavs continued to settle in the wider Southeast Europe area, particularly in the Byzantine provinces south of the Sava and Danube rivers. By the late 6th and early 7th centuries, Slavs had settled in various parts of the Balkans, including modern-day Croatia, Serbia, Bulgaria, and parts of Greece. Archaeological evidence supports this timeline, showing Slavic cultural traits such as handcrafted ceramics, specific types of buildings, and cremation tombs in these regions. The Slavs typically moved along river valleys, and their presence is documented through both archaeological findings and written sources from the time. For instance, by the 7th century, Slavs had formed proto-states in regions like Dalmatia and Thrace, significantly changing the cultural and political landscape of the Balkans. So to answer your question, the Slavs began their migration to the Balkans in the early 6th century, with significant settlements established by the late 6th and early 7th centuries. This period marked the beginning of a new era in the history of Southeastern Europe, one that would shape the region's identity for centuries to come.